Hey guys, EST here, and let's talk about Hurricane Helene, because it's been enough time, and I had enough time to do some research and pick out some stuff that I think the average person wouldn't look into or isn't being reported in the media. And of course, we take this really bad disaster and say, how can you avoid it? How can you be safe? And how can we extrapolate what we learned from this to a larger event? And would it go the same, or would there be differences? The answer is very much yes, by the way. And hey, you guys wanted some long format content that's not just like energy dense, make your head hurt, where you feel like every 10 minutes you got to just pause and take a little break for a second? So I thought, let's do that. I've got a very loose outline for this, and it's going to just be kind of like an opinion-y, interesting, anecdotal, slow-paced, like podcast kind of thing. I know you guys really love that. I need to make more of that content. And finally got a complex and important topic that I can cover. So yeah, let's jump into it. Oh, I will warn you though, if you're new to prepping or you just find yourself constantly being like on the border of like, whoa, I'm getting way too worried, it's way too much anxiety on a daily basis, just worrying about, am I prepared enough for the collapse? And I'm just like a nervous prepper, and I'm not really there yet where I'm like, mature and based, or that's just not my personality, or just whatever your deal is, I would strongly recommend not watching the second half of this video. That's when we say, what if Hurricane Helene was bigger? What if we compared it to like a much larger event? What would happen then? And I wouldn't say it goes to a dark place, but it goes to a real place. It just might not be what you want to hear right now. It will be good for your mental health. So feel free to watch the first half. All right, let's jump in. So it hit a lot of North Carolina, Tennessee, a lot of areas, 1,000 miles inland or whatever, that are insanely high elevation, and the last thing you'd ever think is flooding. There was a huge flood in the early 1900s that they all talk about. Yeah, everybody's heard Grandpa's story about the big flood. And this water volume was higher. So I believe that flood was 1916, which was an El Nino year, and this is an El Nino year. So if you're wondering, how could this have happened? Well, warm ocean waters evaporate more water, and it has to drop somewhere. It's really that simple. What else was simple was, hey, we live in the dang mountains, we don't need flood insurance. Over 90%, I think the number I heard was 99% of homes in that area did not have flood insurance, because what's going to flood? Hurricanes just don't come that far inland and don't hit that part of the country. Not really. So I'm not saying if you live in the middle of Nevada, have flood insurance, but look into it. Now, everybody knows on this channel and on most prepper channels, we talk about the worst scenario, then work backwards from there. They say if you're prepared for World War III and a zombie invasion, then you can handle everything less. And everybody thought that right up until COVID, where the world was ending, the economy was in the gutter. Nobody could go anywhere. Nobody could get anything, depending upon where you lived and who was in charge. Places were running out of stuff, but then you still had to go to work. You still had to pay your bills. You still had to pay your mortgage. Nobody had that on their bingo card. Was the end of the world, but still all the dumb stuff that you hate about the world. If there was a modified rabies virus that caused a zombie apocalypse, and I still had to pay my taxes, I'm just saying, I'm going to be a little mad. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The most realistic scenario is going to be an economic collapse. That is what you should be prepared for. So the food and water aren't just because a tornado or a hurricane might come through, or because World War III might break out, or because whatever you think. It's going to be this very fragile economic system we have being thrown off by one little event, or well, one big event, I should say. But then again, giving home loans to stupid people almost tanked the economy in 2008. So maybe it is a little event. But it is so fragile compared to like the year 1900 or the year 1800 or the year 1700, where, yeah, you could have an economic hardship, you could have a bad crop year, but like there was no stock market. A couple millionaires went bankrupt and nobody cared. So if it were to be the big event that I just said, insurance companies can't pay you money they don't have, and the government's only going to bail them out to a certain extent. So if the entire country of California breaks off into the ocean and half sinks after an earthquake, first of all, that would be a really big improvement to the country. And secondly, they ain't paying for any of that. They'll just say, look, we don't have $1 trillion. We have like 100 billion. You'll just making up numbers, but that's not that far off, actually. We're going to pay you out that. You lived in an apartment. Here's $10,000. Good luck. But for a smaller scale thing, and I still wouldn't call Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Helene, I wouldn't call any of those small scale, but relatively speaking, they are small scale. A couple years later, you rebuild, it costs a ton of money, your insurance premiums go up, and people hopefully live somewhere less stupid than Florida. Look, if you live in a swamp that's like 1 foot above the ocean, what do you think's going to happen? But I would look into wherever you live, like what your insurance doesn't cover, and then assume that everybody else just took the default policy and what they were selling, said, no, those upsells are all a scam, or they weren't even offered to me because the salesman knows it's not even worth his breath, and look at how much it would cost. I'm just saying, a lot of flood insurance comes with like pipe burst insurance. So do look at the terms. I would actually call up your insurance right now if you have the number and just say, hey, what type of events does this not cover? And how much would it cost to get this covered? And then if 99% of your entire city, your neighborhood, your state aren't covered, but yours is, they're just going to write you a check and move on with their life. Okay. Like that'll be the easiest money you've ever made in your life. So to summarize the point I'm making, if enough people got their homes destroyed in a large enough event, none of you are getting paid because they can't make money out of nowhere. But if you have insurance that 99% of your neighbors don't, you probably are getting paid. Now, what did you just spend on prepper supplies per month? You know? A financial disaster is a disaster. It is the most likely disaster, either in your personal life, in your region, or in your entire country. All are very possible. And the longtime saying that says, well, if you prepare for the absolute end of the world, end of society, then you'll prepared for everything lesser is completely incorrect. And the number one reason is because of insurance companies. The number two reason is that if the rest of the world keeps on spinning, then you still need to get back up on your feet economically. Now, collapse of the global food supply, okay, that's a different story. A pandemic as bad as the Black Plague, that's a real different story. But if, I don't know, genetically modified super termites eat every single house in your entire state and the 2 surrounding states, we'll say. And the insurance companies are like, we don't have $10 trillion. Oh, well, here, have a check for $5,000. Good luck, we're going bankrupt. Oh, but you prep for the end of the world, so you can go filter your own water, get your own food in the forest, and you'd be good to go because you prepared for that, and then you're prepared for everything less. Okay, do you want to do that? Is that the wisest decision in that case? It will keep you living, that is true, but no money, no cell phone, no technology, no job, no nothing. So find the lapses in your insurance, have really good insurance, and then most of all, have a really, really good plan for in case you don't get paid by insurance. Just have your network of friends, family, who you really, really, really trust and say, hey, if something really bad happens, temporarily or even long term, you can come stay at my place. That would have and did help a lot of people in Hurricane Helene. And a lot of them didn't get paid, and a lot of them are not handling that very well because they feel like their life is over just because they don't have a big fancy house. Take out another loan, you probably won't pay it off by the time you die, not your problem. There's a law in America, in case you're not familiar, that says that they have to give you a loan at any age. They can't age discriminate. So they could give a mortgage to a 70-year-old despite that being an idiotic idea for obvious reasons. So just thought I'd mention that. So those were the two things that I really wanted to think, like, this affects everybody, but now I got to throw in some interesting stuff because this is mind-blowing. Okay, so we had people who are isolationists, I hate the government, maybe a little mentally ill, but like functional, really naive, really, not smart people, not wise people, not educated people who don't have their stuff together, people with drug problems and drug damage to their brains, just people who aren't quite as smart as you and me watching this. They get on the internet and they hear something and believe it. Or the word gets around during a thing and they start to believe it. If you've ever played Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, really any of the Fallout series where it's like post-apocalyptic and you're like, wow, look at all these wacky, zany characters. This would never really happen. Like this cult, this group, this weirdo guy living out in the mountains. Oh, I thought that too until I started hearing these stories. And this is like the reason I made this video. There were people threatening to, and I believe also attacking FEMA caravans because they thought FEMA was there because they're secretly vampires and they were there to steal their blood or forcibly take their blood because they're poor people and they want to give it to the rich people because they need blood donations. Or somewhere in between. Because some other deranged moron put that online on some, secretive forum or Reddit or who knows where, that isn't getting moderated. So guess what? Well, armed people shooting at FEMA people who don't tend to show up with, body armor and guns because it's bad optics anyway, and it's probably not in their budget. Well, that shut down like a whole county. They were just like, we are not allowed to travel through this county until we resolve this because of, I believe it was 2 or 3 people who are just mentally ill, deranged, whatever led to this. Just conspiracy nut, flat earth type of sovereign citizen morons. Just that level of stupidity. And now, FEMA, must be another conspiracy because everything's a conspiracy, and conspiracies make me feel superior because I know better than everybody else, so I'll believe everything that comes my way because I'm an idiot. Those types disrupted an entire county worth of aid. Then we had the drug addicts that were shown up to the aid sites and literally just saying, what do you need? Here, we got tons of water and food and medical supplies. Here you go. And they were breaking in and stealing stuff. How do you steal from a free store? You know what I mean? Well, they wanted prescription meds. They wanted painkillers. They wanted whatever they're addicted to. That, no matter what type of event is going on, economic, weather, literally anything, that is going to be a problem. No matter where you live, that is going to be a problem. No matter what is going on, watch out for the drug addicts. Watch out for the not well-adjusted people. Watch out for the homeless people. Even my city has them. Quite a few lately, actually. They just moved them, and then I thought the problem went away, which, yeah, that's usually how our mayor handles things. Watch out for brainwashed people, unintelligent weirdos, drug addicts, and just other maladjusted people with who can't function in society. Okay, you probably get it at this point. And they can do a lot of damage to just like a room full of 15 people trying to help people out and clear roads. And while we're talking about mentally defective people who are there not helping, let's take it down a notch to the people who are just there because they want to play hero and they're I guess everyone was calling it LARPing, which is live action role playing. The original LARPing is either Milsim Airsoft, which I actually recommend you do get into, or traditionally people run around in the woods dressed as wizards and swords and archers and all that. And it's all Nerf guns and beanbags and, they're just like, this has better graphics and better, more realistic communications and stuff than any massively multiplayer online role-playing game. And they're right. And absolutely, if there was a group, I'd be doing it. Okay, I am like the biggest nerd ever. So LARPing, kind of cool people, kind of, it's a little quirky, it's a little different people. You got to be a little off to do it, but that's cool. That's my people. So when people call these people LARPers, they're being like sarcastic. It's kind of like the people setting up an autonomous zone on the front lawn of their college. They're LARPing. Okay, they're LARPing as revolutionists. They led a very pampered, cushy, sheltered life. They don't know how the world works, and they're very, very below average intelligence, but got into college because money. So they're LARPing. They're playing something they saw in a movie on TV because they're too stupid to know any better. Lack of wisdom, lack of pure brain power, or lack of life experience, a mix of all three. What happens when people that stupid show up to a survival situation and say, I'm here to help, I'm from 3 hours away? Well, they show up with their plate carriers 8 weeks after the event already happened when ain't nobody shooting at anybody, and they got their full camo, they might even show up with their face painted, and they're walking around in the woods doing security patrols. For what? Bears? Okay, maybe. But, can you go hand out some supplies? And then when these people were asked, can you help shovel a bunch of mud out of the basement of the church? They're like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go do hero rescue stuff because that makes me feel special. I didn't come down here to do helpful work. It's all because of my ego and me feeling like, whoa, I did something with my life. And I get it. It's just, you got to be a weak-minded, naive person to show up and do that. If somebody tells you to shovel mud and there's nothing else better to do, you shovel mud. You take off the dang plate carrier, still have a gun on you because duh. No infrastructure, no cops, and there's meth heads around, you know what I mean? But you go do the work. It's not as glamorous as a movie. And if you think real life is a movie, maybe go experience more real life, okay? If you're a dumb 18-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever, cool, I get it. I'll give you a little leeway. If you're showing up in your 30s and you're LARPing as Mr. Military Militia guy and you just want to do what you want to do because it sounds more fun and you came here because it sounds like a fun thing to do, go back to your mom's basement. But nobody like that is probably watching this. I just want you guys to be aware that those people will show up. So not everybody showing up to help is actually there to help. Not everybody there is to be trusted, and not everybody is going to be helpful. And then their egos and their feelings get hurt, and there's all this drama. And so, I mean, just because somebody shows up and they look like you, they're dressed like you, they kind of have an attitude like you might quickly learn that they are an idiot. They are not to be trusted. They're there for dumb reasons, and they're just a weak-minded, sheltered weirdo. It's a tough lesson that boy, I think I saw more clips of this than anything else, where people were like, I can't believe that people who drove 5 hours to come help weren't like good-natured, trustworthy, great people to work with. They were just really weird. They were there for dumb, bad reasons, and I didn't expect that. So just be aware that like people like that will show up to situations. You gotta rein them in, okay? You gotta either avoid them or just check them on their crap, because as soon as they're getting called out and they're not having a good time, they're out. They're leaving, because they're very sensitive and immature types. But the other thing I want to mention, I'm sure this will offend some people, but look, I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm here to tell you the truth about what happens. Weeks and weeks and weeks after it, when people are still just kind of like chilling, they get into a rhythm, they're still having mental breakdowns over it. They're still having like not complete, like, you know, lock them up. But I heard about, okay, it was all females. I'll just say it right here, right now. All right. Some of the men showing up there were like, oh, another dead body, okay, whatever, I switch it off. Not everybody's capable of doing that. You deal with it on your own time. Good luck sitting in a sleeping bag at the local gym in the school and nothing but your thoughts with you. Then you might have a little bit of an issue. I feel like I could push past it, but I also get emotional over some really dumb stuff. So it is what it is, but men and women are different. And if you're having a breakdown about just like some little interpersonal thing or like somebody that you couldn't quite help properly for 6-8 weeks after the thing already happened, like, okay, just be prepared for people who are like, you think they're the leader, they're the doctor, they're the one who came in, they're writing prescriptions, they're helping people. They got to be like, this is bad, but I can deal with it. Let's just push it down. Not everybody's as capable as you might be at that, and you might not be as capable as you think at that, but just know that people are going to put a smile on, and then they're going to have to just like take some time on their own. And if you think they're completely losing it, it's just they're probably like that. And that just kind of goes double for women. Okay. Not all women. Don't get too offended. I'm not being, sexist here. I'm just saying we're wired differently. Men can cry and women can push through it. Okay, I got plenty of stories like that. But if you gave me 1,000 women, 1,000 men, I think I know what the tendencies and numbers would be overall. Okay, it's individual versus tendency in the group, and just get over it. So even after the first 72 hours, even after the first week, even after the first month, where you start to feel like this is just like your job now, and you just punch the clock. It's a hard, stressful job, kind of, but it's less bad than it was when it first happened. It doesn't mean that people are still gonna not get emotional about it. They're gonna need some time to themselves. And not all men can just push it down and lock it up for that long. And generally the average female will handle it worse. So just keep that in mind, that even though you're out of the woods, so to speak, that people won't just be overwhelmed and I can't help everyone and this is just too much and they gotta go have a cry in the closet. Don't think, whoa, this person can't do their job, we gotta get them out of here, let's get a replacement, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen, this is a weak leader or whatever. Just be aware that it happens. And if somebody does look like they're about to go full breakdown, but they're peer pressure, they're in a group, they're just I can do this, what are the boys gonna think, just recommend to them, hey, you need a break, you want to sit this one out, we're good, you look like you're a little stressed. You could give it the whole I think you're weak and you're weaker than us, so stay behind. Haha. No. You want to phrase it getting too stressed is bad for your health. You don't want to get sick. It's bad for your heart. We don't want anything to happen to you out here. You want to sit this one out. And I think they will just take 1 second and self-reflect and be like, yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think I've seen enough dead bodies and whole families wiped out by this event. I think I will take a me day for a second. Don't be afraid to tell people what to do, recommend it, just put it out there. They're an adult, they can do whatever they want. But look out for people, because you don't want to be seen as the weak one. And that goes in any gender. Everybody says that's a man thing. That's an everyone thing. Now, they were dropping Starlinks down like crazy. There was 100 of them deployed. It was donated by some company. Weirdly, I think not Tesla or whatever, but okay. Or I think, no, Starlink is its own entity, whatever. But some company paid for the Starlinks to go out there, I guess. You would think Elon would donate them. I'm just saying. So I don't know what's all going on with that. But some people had some communications, but some didn't. So you're rolling up on people 4 weeks after where they're just living down in the river because they're borderline homeless. A lot of them have a drug problem. Some of them have mental problems. But some of them just want to be away from society. Some of them just whatever. A typical mountain person. It's a mix of whatever. People end up in different situations for different reasons. Well, they barely had communication beforehand, and then now all their down by the river, because that's where the water is, stuff got washed away because of the flooding, and now they have nothing. They're very isolationist. They don't trust society because they didn't want to be part of it. At least some people were stating that during this, and they didn't want to take supplies from anyone, and that goes 10x from the government. A lot of them were just like, I don't need no handouts, okay? Like, I got enough of that in my life. Go help someone else, I'm still alive. Like, we're more self-sufficient than some city slicker, you know what I mean? And a lot of these people really had to be convinced to take supplies because they're like, you're the only ones around here, we're not taking it back with us here, we're just leaving this pile of water, here you go, a bottled water. And the rescuers were seeing a lot of that, where people were just like, okay, I'm over it. I'm in a horribly dangerous situation, but like, I don't need insulin. I don't need this. I'm not elderly. Go to my neighbors. Are they cool? Like, everybody in the whole area is cool. I don't want this. I don't need this. I can go another 2, 3, 4, 5 days with the supplies in my house. I got a couple more cans of cold chili I can, shove down. I could stand to lose weight anyway. Give me 3 bottles of water and go give the rest to someone else. I do not want to take water away from someone else when someone else could be dying of dehydration right up the road, And I think a lot of people who are preppers are good-natured people with that kind of outlook where they're like, no, why is it me? I don't want a handout. And men, okay, we're the providers. We're very proud. Maybe I shot 3 squirrels and made some tasty squirrel nuggets. Okay, cool. That Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce was already going bad in the fridge anyway. Might as well, make some squirrel bits. And then someone shows up with some resources and you're like, I'm doing all right. And if I accept this, 1, it might not go to someone else. And 2, I think I'm better prepared and doing better than everybody else. And that is a hard decision. That's a hard mental state to be in. Like, what if you are taking resources away from someone else who really needs it? And the more distant you get from the event that happened, the more I think you can accept it. But if it's like for 72 hours, it's very noble, appropriate, and I think you should do this. If like there was a gas explosion in a building and you got out and you're like, these people are burned, that person's older than me, that person's a child, that person's a woman, I'm a man. Yeah, I'm bleeding, I patched it up, I'm holding something on it, and I got disinfectant. Go handle someone else. That person probably has smoke inhalation. Like, there's someone worse than me, I can tough it out. And that person's having a total breakdown over just like a little cut on their arm. Go treat them first. My cut might be a little deeper, but like, I'm good, I'm not dead yet. And then, they call that triage, obviously, but it's like, maybe you are a little bit worse, but you're like, I can push through it and I'm not going to die. Or you go full Titanic, like, hey, there's only 2 ambulances here and women and children first. Let's go, because that's men's job historically, biologically, genetically, just by design. We're meant to be frontline, expendable. We kill the woolly mammoth. We kill the threat. We fight the wars. We defend the country. So if you believe in that, then just make scenarios in your mind, take 5 minutes and think, if this happened, what would I do? If it was an injury thing, what would I do? If I was dying on the table next to other people, what would I do? If this happened, what would I do? If it's a 8-week situation, like typically is what is considered to be the total like grid down outage in the worst areas hit by Helene, what would I do? Would I volunteer? Would I go there? Would I go here? Would I just hold it down? If my house was still in one place, would I let people in? Would I tell the FEMA people or the people who got there way before FEMA, because to keep walking because I'm good? Well, the easiest way to make that particular decision where you're coming across people, they're like, clearly they need some resources. They're on their like last couple days of whatever they could scavenge. Can't get out of the house. Everything's washed away. Roads are washed away. You literally cannot cross this giant flooded ravine full of mud. And they're like, there might be someone worse off to me. I don't want to take this. If you find yourself in that situation, the best way is to not find yourself in that situation. Like me right now, where I live, I have half a year worth of food just in Mylar, let alone cans. They land that helicopter, I'm going to be like, how much more room you got? I'll give you, like, you want some rice? I got like 50 spare pounds. I got like another 200 kilos sitting in the closet. Antibiotics? What type you want? I got all 6. I'm not even kidding. I do. Dude, I got like 4 first aid kits. I kept buying them because I forget where I put them. Here, have like 2 of them. I want to be that guy where they show up to rescue me and I turn out to be like the hardware store. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Walgreens. You just rolled up to the Walmart, boys. What do you need? Now, there were accusations of FEMA, quote unquote, stealing supplies. What they were doing is with their training and to the best of their knowledge saying, okay, we got this many victims here. We got a map. We got a GPS satellite phone thing. We're all communicating. We got more information than you. And there's more people coming here. They don't have this and you do. So we're taking food here and we're bringing medical supplies back here. Or we're closing down this little thing that the civilians set up and consolidating it 5 miles down the road and telling people to go there. so that we're not spread as thin and they don't show up to somewhere that's out of something. And people are like, oh, they shut us down and took all our supplies. They said we got 24 hours to put it in the truck or else, which they did. They did threaten people. They showed up real aggressive. We were like, do not give them leeway. Do not make this like some kind of option. Don't make it sound like it's their decision. This is a public building. You're inside of a library. Guess what? That's our jurisdiction. We're taking your stuff. That rubbed people the wrong way. They were getting a lot of threats. A lot of people were getting very angry because they're like, they're stealing it. They could be sending us off. Who knows where? They could be burning it. They could be using it for themselves. Look, you show up to my house. I don't care what uniform you're wearing. If you're like, hey, we're requisitioning some of your ammo or whatever. If they ask nicely and they have a good story, they have proof, and they have pictures, I'll give them whatever they want. If they're showing up, they're like, oh, we didn't know you had that much like rice and beans. We're taking half of it. No, you're not. I assure you, you are not doing that. So be prepared for that, because there have been in other countries, a lot, it shows up all the time in movies, but that's because it's based on reality. Some is, some isn't, where the military, quote unquote, where it's really just people who abandon the front line, they're deserters, show up to a place like, hey, we need, we're fighting the war. We need some supplies here. And then if you even say no for 1 second, they just tie you up, shoot you, whatever they're willing to do, and just take all your stuff. Don't trust anyone. And that's why all these like lone wolf or like 2-person, 4-person families are like, oh, we're going to hole up in our house no matter what, unless the house fell over. Well, your house probably fell over. But assuming it didn't, I wouldn't just be like, go away to anybody who shows up. But also, if I'm the only one, I'm talking to you through the door. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get some cameras. If I even got electricity, I'll burn up a little bit of batteries to set up some cameras if I see you coming. I might fly a drone overhead. I might, whatever I got to do. To just be like, how many people did you really show up with? And are they surrounding the house? What are they doing? What are they wearing? What do they look like? How clean are their clothes? All this like stuff that would be considered judgmental otherwise, but you got to use your brain and be like, okay, what's going on here? Who are these people? So there was a grand total of pretty much none of that in this situation because they knew there would be consequences. And that's the one thing I want to point out. People were coming together like crazy because this wasn't some Democrat, liberal, selfish, on the coast hellhole. Okay, this didn't happen to like New York City where people would be stabbing each other in the street because they're out of toilet paper. People from the Midwest, Appalachia, pretty much everywhere but a blue area, at least in America, they watch out for each other because we have morals, we have like community, religious beliefs, standards, work ethic, like you name it. We're just better people. If you're a prepper, pretty good chance you're better people too. So there's people helping people out. There's people coming in from cities far away, and only a small portion of them just want to do it because they want to play the hero and because they're just not well adjusted. They're a little not right. Some people are just born that way. Some people become that way. Okay, it is what it is. But like the stories were like, hey, where are you guys from? Are you from some agency? Like, no, we're just from some construction company. And we didn't have anything to do, so we came from 6 hours away with our job trailer and a bunch of, because we already got the road clearing supplies. We got the chainsaws, so we're just coming out here because why not? The company's owner is out there. Is like, all right, shoot. They ain't getting paid. They're just like, hey, we're financially fine, and these people aren't. They might even know someone there. They might have showed up because like, oh, their whole family's from this area. Let's go. They're showing up because they can. In fact, one church was bailed out by another church that was just like, hey, let's go on a little road trip. What you guys doing? You're retired. You're self-employed. You're off for the summer. Let's go. You're a teenager. You're between jobs. Cool. We got the crew. Let's go. And they're smelly. They haven't, showered in days. And trust me, men, you get over it. After about 3 days, it just kind of, you stop smelling it. Bring some Tylenol and protein bars if you're above about 22, though. Just saying. But like they showed up and helped clear out all the mud from a church so that it didn't collapse. And I believe I have the story right. The people that were there never even, like the one person I heard the story from, they said we never even know what church they were from. We didn't ask because they're just like, oh, cool. All right. That's real. Okay. But little moral rant here. There are people right now in your city. There could be people in your family, let alone at your work, let alone at your kid's school, at your own school. I don't know. I got some people, 13-year-olds and stuff watching this channel, according to the stats. Based, just saying, you're smarter than your peers. I said so. Tell them I said so. There are people around you who are having a worse time than people during Helene. All right. They're like I said, we got us still a case of water and some beans. Go to the next house over. We're good. We ain't dying. I don't need your water. Give it to someone else. Like, are you sure? Are you really sure? Are you really, really sure? Yeah, the house wasn't insured, but it's $10,000 worth of fixing it. We got $10,000 in the bank. Worse things have happened. Like, there are people in Africa starving. You know what I mean? after a hurricane. They don't know if their family's all right. They got no internet. They got no nothing. Just chilling in their house being like, hey, let's cook out some beans. Let's go. I've got like unlimited time off of work until we get electricity and internet and roads. And we're all just like chilling out here camping. But like with my house behind me, so it's kind of glamping. Oh yes, I'm suffering. Me and my 1 year worth of 1 million calories in rice and beans. Oh boy, tough go of it now. Oh, can't wait for the grid to come back up. There were quite a few legitimate, honest, non-ironic people coming out saying this legitimately isn't that bad. Everybody's like worried, and then they're like, okay, I've worried enough. I'm fine. I got some savings in the bank. The house ain't damaged. Maybe I don't need that much electricity. We're eating everything in the freezer, and we're chilling with our neighbors having a barbecue. The suffering. Now, there are people in your community that are worse off than that right now. And I'm not saying that every mentally ill person, every depressed person, it's on you to go deal with that because maybe that's not your specialty, you know? There are very few people that are very, very good at that. I mean, my default personality is that I don't care enough about other people to be like, yes, I have to go talk to them about this and help them and make them feel better. I'm more like, wow, they should have made better decisions. Go pull yourself back up by your bootstraps. What's wrong with you? Man up. And I'm not saying that I've never helped people out in bad situations and kind of known what to say, but I wouldn't make a profession out of it, and that wouldn't be the first thing I would go out and do. I know other people that are full-blown, let's counsel people. They push through it. It's hard. It's frustrating. It's difficult. They call you at 1 a.m. They constantly revert. They get worse. They like all this stuff, but they can push past that. I don't think I could. But for the people like me, I could go rebuild my neighbors, whatever. I could go do a home improvement. I could go rake their leaves. I could go cut their lawn when the lawnmower breaks down. You know, people get so caught up in, I don't know, nobody really talks to each other anymore. All my friends are like online, and I'm just kind of connected to my family on Facebook. I don't really need more people in my personal bubble because then what if I have to deal with their problems? And don't get into that. Come on, you're going to be way happier in your life and at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, if you spent a little bit of time and resources helping out somebody else in your community that has a problem. They have a need. They have whatever. And I'm not saying you got to just get out the checkbook, okay? That is the easiest thing ever while also being the hardest thing ever, okay? I have next to no spare resources right now to give to anyone in any financial situation. I just came out of a terrible financial situation a year ago. I'm still picking up the pieces. I still owe myself money to my own business. It's not pretty right now. But if I did have the resources, just a little boop, there you go, one touch with the credit card. Oh, look at what a great person I am. I'm not saying that figuratively you did nothing, but that's a big thing. But so is like, hey, let's go take down my neighbor's tree. It's dangerous and it's dying and they don't have, $4,000 to have a pro crew come do it, but I kind of know what I'm doing. Terrible example. You need like insurance for that and stuff, but you get the idea. Oh, my neighbor's dog ran away. Well, that sucks. I want to catch up on this thing on YouTube. I want to watch this Netflix series, which stop giving Netflix money. Well, my neighbor's taillight has been out for like a week. They should have fixed that. I wonder if they know how to do that. I know how to do that. I don't want to be awkward, social, I don't want to go ring their doorbell. Like, just get over it. Go do something good for the community. Go do something good for the people around you. Maybe somebody's stressing. Maybe they have absolutely no idea how to do it. They have no concept of what it's going to cost at a shop to get that fixed. And so they just haven't done it, but then they got pulled over twice now, and the warning turned into like a citation. Now they're like, oh, what do I do? Because they're short on resources, and you could have just gotten a $3 bulb and done it for them. Last time I needed a ride somewhere, it took me 4 people. The 4th person I called finally was like, yeah, okay, all right. Everyone was just like, take an Uber. And I'm like, okay, that's like $40-$50. Can you just give me a ride to the thing, the airport, the car place, the whatever? And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm busy that day. Oh, I don't know. A lot going on with like the kids and the family, like that I get. But yeah, you're not helping people in their bad situations. And it could go from just that level of inconvenience and bad and annoying to like devastating. And that usually scales with the amount of like economic power and resources that they have. You know what I mean? But guys, even as guys, you can go out there and say, hey, you know what? I heard this person's stressing about some big certification tests they're taking at work. They failed it twice, and now they are just like bonkers. They're falling apart. They're not a test-taking type of person. I could tell by the social media posts online, they are not having a good time. You know what I would love to do is have someone to go out and just get a meal with, talk, go to the gun range, go golfing, just who cares? Go for a walk in the woods. And then you can bring it up. You can encourage them, tell them they can do it. And that's not less manly of you. That's what men should do. So don't get into this whole, oh, I don't know, that's not me. I don't know how this would be seen. And I'm focusing on this so much because there was so many people that said, man, okay, I don't have the resources. I don't have the time off of work. I'm not retired. I'm a student or just like whatever. I could just leave my job and not pay my rent and go help somebody in North Carolina. Like some people can, some people can't. I totally get that. But if it was in my area and my internet and electricity was down, but I'm good, I'm getting my chainsaw and I'm going out there and helping them. I'd be on the front line. And I believe you. If you believe that is true, then you are probably correct. And I'm not saying you aren't. However, why are you waiting for the big thing to come happen? I mean, I get it. It wipes out your schedule and frees up some time. And then you can show what a great person you are. Go out there and work, 12 hours a day, clearing roads and, helping people out and giving them rides here or there, ride your bicycle around and give people some basic solar stuff, charge your cell phone and check on them, deliver stuff to them. All the stuff that was going on, these little tasky things. A lot of people will do it because they're forced into it because of the situation. It's right next door. You're in it. It affects you. Or you're just like, you know what? I am a construction company owner. We don't have any projects right now. Or let's just take some of the crew and just go do this for a week. Yeah, it's going to be a financial hit, but it's the right thing to do. That's a pretty big leap. But there was a lot of people doing that. A lot of church groups, a lot of volunteer groups, a lot of retired types. I don't know if you guys have the different groups like the Lions and I wouldn't say the VFW. I know there's a bunch out there. The JCs, I believe. That's what they do. And there's a lot of people like that. But a lot of people, they just get it in their head. Oh, I would do that. I would do that. I would do that. And then when they go do it, cool, you're helping. But it's because you feel like a good person. It's for you. It's for you just as much as it is for everyone else. And that is a strong motivation to get stuff done, but it's still a little selfish. I think everybody should get to the point where they would do something because it's the right thing to do, the end period. Even if it's uncomfortable for you, even if there is no reward, even if there is no medal, there is no handshake from the person, even if the person completely and utterly does not accept what you did for them. If you help out a grumpy, miserable person, you're like, well, I regret doing that, geez, because I didn't get the satisfaction of, oh, you're such a hero. You do it anyway because it's what you do. It's common decency. There is no deserve it or don't deserve it. You get out there and you help people because that's what you do. If you can get to that point, I think it's a little healthier mentally, a little better morally than some of the people that were showing up here just that they can brag about it on social media, or they could get the back pats from all the people they were helping. I'm not saying those people are as bad as the people just showing up because they want to LARP in their military gear, but they're still not great. They get work done, but it's not quite there. You know what I mean? So do be aware that there's other people like that just doing it for the clout, just doing it for their own feelings, doing it to feel like a hero and feel like they did something with their life. There's not necessarily that much wrong with that, but be aware that you don't necessarily want to be too motivated by that. You don't want that to be, I would even say, above 50% of why you're out there. Above 50%, if you could quantify it, would be what I would consider to be a problematically unhealthy. And if you're not willing to go out and just do some volunteer work and help people in your community and join a group that helps people, do stuff or whatever helps people out, gives rides to the hospital, the elderly, whatever you feel like doing, easy, hard, physical, free, monetary heavy, whatever you are not doing, then why do you have it in your head that you'll go help them then in that scenario? Because it's that bad. It's that much more dangerous. I mean, there's people ending their lives over some situations that you could have helped with. And I am not talking about areas affected by Hurricane Helene. So if you're ready, willing, and going out there just because it's the right thing to do, just because it's a good use of your time, and just because you think you should and it's the right thing to do, then why aren't you doing it right now? And if you completely reject what I'm saying, or you no, I've got 3 kids and that's my responsibility, yeah, I get it. I'm single with no kids, and I'll tell you right now, I don't use my time effectively 100% of the time. I used to be in work mode. I used to be in, I need to work this job, then this job, then this job, then do this side hustle, or I am not going to be able to pay the bills. I was in such a bad financial situation. It was like, if I'm not working every single second that I'm awake, then I am just slipping further into debt. I can't make these payments. I'm going to have to declare bankruptcy. And it was stressing me out for year after year after year. And now that I'm out of that, because of a very fortuitous situation in the last year, I still feel like that. I still sit down and be like, I should just relax after work. No, wrong. The voice in the back of my head. No, 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 no. Work, make more money. What if? You don't have enough money in savings? And it's good to feel like that. It's not, punch the clock. I hate my job. Come home. I refuse to do absolutely anything else because work is hard and I'm so lazy. Don't fall into that either. But don't be like, I call them min-maxers, which is a video game term, but the people who are like, I have to optimize everything. Every hour, everything. I need to be working. I need to do this because you will burn out. And I'm the last person who would ever burn out. I just seem to be like immune to mental fatigue. Maybe it comes with being originally a software engineer. Maybe it's just my biology. I don't know. From a brain chemistry standpoint, I'm a bit unique, but it legitimately didn't bother me that much to come home from work and then immediately, let's start flipping stuff on eBay. Let's go to the thrift store. Let's go to this auction site, this thing. I could make $10 on this, $20 on this. Yes. I go to bed thinking, yeah, I made an extra 100 because I didn't sit there and be lazy and do nothing and play video games and watch TV. However, I'm still falling into that, and I don't need to do that as much now because I just live my life so much that I have to remind myself I don't need to be like that anymore. But it feels right. I wired it in my brain to be like, I need to do that and big pleasure reward because look at the good thing I did. When in reality, I don't need to put an hour of work to make an extra $20. I don't need that $20 right now. Back then, I was like, I don't care if I'm making $5 an hour. I need more money. I need that $20. There is no other option. Get over it. Now, that is a lot less true. But lately, I have been using it as a crutch. I've been saying to myself, oh, well, okay, this person needs me to do this project, or somebody wants me to drive out there, help them with their computer. That's almost always what it is. And I'm just like, Or like some nonprofit could use a graphics person. They could use a video editor, and I'd be able to do it 10 times better than 1/10 the time. But I'm not getting paid for that. Like, I can't do that, you guys. I'm not going to volunteer myself for that because I'm just too busy. And then I sit home and like make money instead that I don't necessarily immediately need. Now, I could definitely use more money in savings right now because my savings account is pretty poor. But using it as an excuse in your own mind to justify why you're not ever helping out anyone, any group, anything, but then sitting there watching Hurricane Helene and be like, yeah, that would be me. Those people doing that good thing, that would totally be me. Hurricanes like that don't happen very often. Fix your crap right now, I think is the best way that I would summarize it. So you want to get out there and save someone, you're in the same situation as me. You got some free time, you're retired, you're rich, you're whatever, you're this, you're that, you're a stay-at-home mom and the kids are at college. Do something with your time other than unconstructive, dumb crap. You'll feel a lot better with your life, and don't just sit there thinking, yeah, I'm a good person because if this hurricane happened right down the street from me, I'd be the first one out to help. Well, isn't that great? What can you do now? Because there's disasters going on now. You just can't see them. They're less visible. They're more subtle. And if you disagree with everything I say, then maybe you do have legitimate circumstances. You're different than me, whatever, cool. But if you're just like completely in denial about what type of person you are, well, then you probably already left the video. The rest of you, thanks for being adults about it. So mini moral rant over, let's get back into the stories, although that, in my opinion, was the most important takeaway from all of this, because even I felt a bit convicted over it. So if you see the government coming, you're like, I don't like the current government, so I'm going to treat every single last individual in that group as like projecting all my anger, frustration, and hate over the last couple of years on that one person individually before knowing a single thing about him. Same goes for FEMA, same goes for, there are some groups where I would just be like, no, flat out right off the bat. Like a certain false religion based on ghosts that live in volcanoes. If I said the name, I think YouTube would take action because some of them work there. But yeah, big scam religion that just runs on money and scams idiot celebrities out of their money. If somebody was a member of that group and came to help me during a hurricane, I would tell them to keep walking. I don't want anything to do with somebody that stupid. The fact that they're a member of that group is all I need to know about them. Because they're a moron, they're not to be trusted, and they don't make good decisions. And I am 100% certain about that for 100% of the members. And if I were to swing it the opposite direction and the opposite extreme, there's a horrible blizzard and my car breaks down and who knocks on my window while I'm trying to figure stuff out and make calls and stuff, or like pack up to walk out of there, make an intelligent decision about what to do about a very bad situation, and a van full of people in a lifted truck show up, which I really don't like lifted truck people, and they're all wearing jerseys of the opposing NFL team, the one that's our number one rivals. I don't agree with it, but I'm pretty sure I could get over it. If they're notorious for being hooliganish and participating in hooliganery, like, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles. And they're wonderful, totally not toxic fans. Well, instead of, wow, that whole group, I disapprove of them as a group. Hey, here's 2 of them in front of me, 3 of them, 4 of them in a truck, and they're offering to help me out. I'm not going to go full paranoid, I hate FEMA on them. You know what I mean? Like, there's different extremes to this, but I think you need to just be like, you know what? These are people. I don't care what the uniform says. I don't care what their badge says. I don't care what group they're from. Oh, this church group drove up from, Charlotte, North Carolina, and they're helping people with whatever. But, ooh, that denomination, we're not. Yeah, we're Lutheran or what's the other one? Protestant, and they're Catholic. Oh, they said they're from the Saint whatever church, and I'm pretty sure that's Catholic. As much as I would be tempted to do this, if the Catholic charity shows up to help me out in the middle of a hurricane, I'm not going to open by, oh, you're from St. John's whatever church? Huh. Why do you guys build idols of humans and then pray to them? You're basically polytheistic. Why do you think priests can forgive sins? Why do you think the Pope is infallible? Why are you so obsessed with Mary? She's dead. She can't hear you. Why are you... Nah, maybe I'll get over it a little bit. I'm not saying like tolerate people that are living their life completely wrong, believe wrong things that are really important. But if you've got an issue with the group... Maybe don't project it on the individual on in an emergency situation, especially, or in your daily life. Don't be the one going to Walmart saying, I hate Walmart as a corporation. I'm going to take it out on every single employee I have an interaction with. Okay, don't be that person. That doesn't even make sense logically. You're just being a jerk. It's what do they call it? Misguided anger or something, whatever. I believe I mentioned earlier, I'm not a psychologist. So another thing that I kind of hinted at before, but I want to circle back because it leads into my final point. You're going to have to interact with people you didn't even know existed in a disastrous scenario that you're helping with, or that you're just traveling through with no intention of helping with. You're still going to come across people that you didn't even know about. You didn't even know they existed because they stay away from society. They don't go out and interact with people. They don't wave at you at the farmer's market and see you in church. And you might come across people that normally on a normal day would be just fine, except that they've been without alcohol and nicotine for a week. And now they're not just fine. Let me just break down some examples. All you're hearing from me so far, all you're seeing on the news, all you're hearing from YouTubers, people who were there, volunteer groups is, wow, look at how great humans are. They came to help out their fellow humans. They took time off work. They took their own money, their own vehicles, their own equipment. Look what people can do for people. Aren't we great? That is true. That is not a misrepresentation. That was the overwhelming, just from percentage standpoint, who showed up, and that's what was going on, despite all the warnings and other weird oddities that I pointed out in this video, just so you're prepared and aware. But to keep you prepared and aware of anything that might happen, I feel like I would be negligent in not warning you. This is all in the context of, well, it's a hurricane. The government's still there. I don't need a phone or an internet or whatever to tell me that, the U.S. government is still intact. People are coming. We're going to slowly get supplies. Within 6 months to a year, I'll barely even know on a daily basis in my daily life that this happened. Fix up the house, get the power, re-pour the roads, and we're good to go. Okay, when people see a way out, they see a light at the end of the tunnel, but then also mixed with, I have enough for what I need right now. I'm not going to run out of water. I'm not going to run out of insert anything you need to live. So the best example I can give is dogs, okay? Dogs, like the most pampered, would be useless in the wild dog that is bred to be a complete and utter pet, will go what they call feral. Any dog will go feral. If they are I haven't been fed in 2 days, okay, now it's serious time. Now, what am I going to do? Panic, and their brain goes, I have an idea, and then just resorts to pure instinct. But the second that you come across a feral dog that used to be a home pet, and they're that's not a threat. I can stop growling at a random person that I would never normally do. I'd walk up and have them rub my belly. The second they're they're not here to steal my food. They're not here to harm me. They just instantly go back. Near instantly. If you offer them a little bit of food, a little bit of water, and they're oh, that's right, humans give me food and water, and I'm full of food and water. Cool. Back to being a nice pet. That's just how they work. Now, humans are designed for a survival reason exactly the same way, but to a lesser extent. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's let's help out. Everybody's, hey, go rescue my neighbors first. Hey, take care of my wife first. No, don't worry. I've got 2 weeks worth of supplies. We're good. Everybody's, hey, thanks for coming. I appreciate you. Came for 3 hours away. Oh, you're a saint. Everybody's like that right up until Is this ever going to get better? Like, did my whole country just collapse? Is this bad enough that I'm never going shopping again? I'm never going to work again? And I'm going to be out of food and water in 3 days? Now that, one, that isn't you. Two, holy cow, that better not be you. You're watching a prepper channel. What is wrong with you if that's you? You could weld my door shut and come back and get me in 6 months. And first of all, I would have escaped by then, but I'd still be like, y'all got anything other than rice? But no, I'm good. I'm still alive. But the most normal, moral, modern people, unless they are just that adamant about who they are and how they're going to act in this situation, and they got their stuff straightened out, which is not the majority of society in any country, in any culture. Anyone other than that is just going to be like, myself, my family, my wife, my kids are about to not have water and food. We need antibiotics right now. We need a place to stay so that we don't freeze to death right now. Then hey, there's my neighbor. Hey, there's my cousin. Oh, FEMA's handing out 1 meal. Sure hope myself and my family don't die. Yeah, that's when you see the riots. That's when you see the violence. That's when you go full Hunger Games, or if you didn't see Hunger Games, Lord of the Flies. As soon as you think, I am in actual legitimate danger, you get in like this mental fight and flight mode that will absolutely, for most people, override social norms, I guess would be the term. So everybody doesn't even have to consciously think, okay, a tornado went through my town. Is human society in my country going to be fine? Yes. Like, what are you even, Let's share my generator with the neighbor. Oh, there's a tornado 1 city over. My aunt lives there. My friend lives there, whatever. I'm going to run a big giant battery bank out in a little mini solar panel, and maybe bring like a cooler and some ice to them. I got the day off, it's a weekend, let's go. Yeah, you're doing that if you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, like 50 million people are reported dead, and that was the last thing I heard before the TV cut out. 50 million divided by how many people live in America? I don't think we can economically come back from that ever. Or what? 2 entire states are now a radioactive wasteland because of a accident. They tried fusion, it went drastically wrong. God, that would never happen. I try to come up with generic scenarios that are just like, have no mental baggage, but a wizard shows up and teleports the entire state of California to the moon. Not necessarily not considered an improvement to America. However, do you think we're ever coming back from that? People would start being like, okay, what's made in California? And actually, I'm struggling to come up with anything, but that many people gone, the finances, the real estate, the businesses, all these, stuff shipped in from ports. Like you might see that and be like, okay, that scale of event that affects that many people, and there's no undoing it because the land is toxic. The people are dead. Like you can't undo that. Is this bad enough that this is the thing? Is this bad enough that in a month I'm not going to have a job? I'm not going to have a food. I'm not going to have any food. I can't go shopping anywhere. This is not an immediate threat to me, but this is it. People act differently. And you would not act that way in a hurricane unless you're like that desperate. You're like, my God, I haven't had a drink of water in like 2 days. I am on the verge of death. That person is walking past my house with water. I'm going to go take it. On the small scale like that, social norms go away when you're like, I love being polite and all, but I like being alive more. I think that's the best way to describe this. So don't say, oh, no matter how big the event, like 90% of Earth's population could be Thanos snapped away, I don't know, gamma ray burst, which not really, because that would burn the Earth's atmosphere and you won't be able to breathe. But like whatever scenario, okay, this is society ending, but the good in people would still come out because America is mostly good people. That's true right up until you got to look out for yourself and keep yourself alive. Then social norms and being polite, and even with people oh, no. And I've got some examples for you. This is the part I warned you about in the video. So like China with the big communist revolution where they all were like, hey, do it this way. And then they all didn't know what they were doing, but they wanted to be in charge anyway. Welcome to every communist nation ever. And let's socialize the production. And we want you to make this much corn. Well, then I'll just, so I don't get in trouble, tell you that's how much corn I'm making and report false numbers. And then, whoops, that's so weird that people are starving. How is that possible? People were selling and eating other humans. That happened. That is not like one person who did that. Millions. People were killing their neighbors so that they could take their dog and eat it. When you're like, okay, everybody I know is starving. It's been months. Nothing is coming. This communist revolution, we're never going to overthrow them. And me and everyone in my friends group, my family, everyone are going to die. Then you're going to act a hell of a lot differently than when Hurricane Helene blows through. Be aware of the difference. So a couple more things on that. Like I said, if you just don't want to mentally handle that because it gets worse from here, we're entering the dark part of the video. So you've been warned. So let's set the stage. Really, really, really bad thing happened that you think maybe we can't come back from, or at least you personally are not going to be safe. If you're like, wow, the government can't come within a couple months and put a Band-Aid on that. That ain't no Hurricane Andrew, Katrina, Helene, insert whatever. They'll rebuild eventually, but ooh, that is estimated by the news at $15 trillion worth of damage. Okay, well, economics going to be tight for the next 10 years bare minimum. We're all like, we're in a depression. Y'all just don't know it yet. Supply chains, ports, like just think about it. We had like a boat crashed into a bridge and people are talking about how the whole entire country might get shut down and not be able to ship stuff in because that's one of our 3 ports. And then like, oh, just COVID. Okay, a little bit of shutdown, lockdown, a little bit of international shipping problems, obviously. Whoa, the whole economy goes down the toilet and almost went completely upended if they didn't print trillions, but then they spent it irresponsibly, caused inflation, and there you go. And thank God those people are out of office right now. When their policies never let a good disaster go to waste, this is our opportunity to whatever, send money wherever, print money wherever, do whatever we want. Yeah, despicable, disgusting. You know, the people who are on the front line at a school shooting, we need to ban guns because guns are scary and I don't understand them. If we ban guns, it takes them away from the criminals magically and stops them from committing crimes. They're called criminals. That's what they do. People have weapons in prisons. Prisons. You ain't gonna stop us from having weapons. I want self-defense. Anyway, but like what I'm saying here is, boy, you get one little disruption, one little thing here and there. That's how fragile our system is. People have one supplier because it is the cheapest. They pushed everybody out of business. There is one company that does this. There is one giant conglomerate that does all the production of this. There's like 1 or 2 or 3 farming companies and food companies and medication companies. It is so stupidly fragile. Everything is overvalued. Everything is overpriced compared to 300 years ago. And it's all just one little push. That's all it takes. One little push. One little set of bad loans sold as securities. One little bunch of bad mortgages. One little pandemic. One little port getting shut down. One little nuke. One little earthquake. And the sky is falling, and it is. You got to take drastic action. I mean, the government stepped in and fixed like 2008. It was questionable. The auto bailouts were questionable, but we need domestic car production. Some of the financial companies they bailed out. Yeah, but you want to retire at some point, right? I'd love them to get what they deserve, but I don't want my IRA to hit 0, thanks. They had to make some tough choices and do some unpopular things. I don't agree with most of them. And like I said, the Democrats always take any disaster opportunity to overstretch, take control, and push their stupid, diabolical, evil agendas. But let's just say everybody sat back and said there's nothing we can do, and they took no action with the mortgage crisis in 2008. Yeah, the economy would have been in shambles for about 20 years. It like our country probably wouldn't be here by now. It would be gone. It is that fragile. So if something outside of the government's budget and control and ability to rebound from happened, like tomorrow, everybody who knows anything, anybody who took a history class, an economics class, anybody who watched a couple disaster movies, anybody who's smart enough to watch my channel and is a prepper, as soon as they flip from this is bad, but we can rebuild and it's happened before to this might be a little too big of a scale to come back from. I'm not saying people going to be wearing bear skins and throwing rocks at each other within a month, you know, like some nuclear war where 99% of people die or something, or like, you know, some alien invasion, some virus that kills everybody. You know, not society ending, but it might as well be, because the Great Depression is going to look like it was a Great Depression by the time this thing tips over. As soon as people have that in their head, and I want to stress that because that is a possibility, and the more technology, the more single supplier crap, the more international trade we get, and the more the Democrats ship all of our production and labor overseas, where we can't even process our own lumber anymore without sending it to China when we cut down the trees here, the easier it is to tip over, the more we work towards that just happening eventually. And the only thing that'll be a giant undo button is all the really, really evil countries like China, Russia, all them just going away, imploding, and just kaboom. And then America making everything they need domestically. And the only way to make that really feasible is to do some really shady crap, sabotage other countries, monopolies, unfair international trade, and just crush the rest of the world, which I don't think we should do. Or basically what they call post-scarcity, which would be unlimited energy. I mean, that's from the scope of where we live right now, that would be the way to do it. I'm actually going to explain this because a lot of people say, no, society is always moving forward. It's doom and gloom to say that it is inevitable that it will tip over because our population and our supply chains are so much different than they were any other century that we recorded. But our resilience and ability to, deal with anything is fine. And we always invent our way out of it. We're always smarter. We've always got better computers. We will solve everything that comes our way. Trust me. And then you've got other people saying the opposite. It is completely too fragile and it will collapse 100%. Eventually, it is an inevitability. From all the data I've gathered, all the analysis from every possible source you could possibly imagine, I would put it very heavily, if I were to tilt the scales, towards it will all collapse someday. There are various problems right now that do not have solutions, period. Like, the solution is 20% of the Earth's population dying. The solution is we're knocked back 100 years in technology, which I don't think people would be able to handle very well. And you might have noticed, those aren't solutions, those are just what will happen to make the situation go away, to resolve it. It all comes down to energy. And before you think I'm going to go full preachy, lefty, woo, let's all unplug our electronics and stop spewing out CO2, it is so much bigger than that, and half the stuff they say about that or more is complete and utter lies. Everything is energy, and we need way more of it than when we just rode around on horses. Everything is electricity, everything is computers, everything is supply chain, everything is airplanes, everything is move. Everything you buy, everything you do, everything you need to keep living, your house you live in, the concrete, the wood, it gets shipped all over the place and there is no other way to do it. So, if we run out of energy, we run out of society. The problem with that is we are going to run out of energy. You might say, oh, no, inventions. No, what about this? What about that? We could run out of uranium for fusion, or for a fission, if we just went that route because there's just not enough oil anymore. Windmills are a joke. It takes more energy to build them than they put out. It's just that simple. It is literally that simple. Oh, in their lifetime, I should say, obviously. Solar works great, not in the northern United States where it's cloudy and we have winters. And I don't know if anybody told you the Earth is tilted. So sometimes there's less sun in the places that are further from the equator. I guess nobody told some of these lefty idiots that. So yeah, solar, that's out. Solar plus a bunch of batteries. If you want to go tear apart another planet, because we don't have enough of anything to do that, we're going to run out of hydrocarbons. And I say that because we already are. But what if there's a big breakthrough in energy generation? If it was big enough, that would be something called post-scarcity. That's why I'm giving you like the short version of this now, because we're going to get into post-scarcity first, and then the only way we could get there and why I think that that's less realistic, less likely to happen than it is to happen. Post-scarcity is basically everyone, or the overwhelming majority of the Earth, has enough to go around, enough energy, enough to do whatever. Everything's cheap enough. Everybody can afford food. It's just that easy to transport. You could just, if you are in some horrible situation, a drone just flies in with free energy from the sun and gives you something that they grew with an artificial light, and you're good. You ain't doing that with hydrocarbons. You ain't doing it with solar. And you ain't doing it with wind. And like I said, you can run out of uranium. So what does that leave? And the answer is, a bunch of people dead. Now, if you're about to say, oh, but what if they invent some new thing? I mean, we've been running on, natural gas and coal and oil way too long. So just what if we invent something else? Oh, no. We are at the point where we know how all, how do I want to phrase this? How every particle in the standard model works. So everything that makes everything in the entire universe, we know how it works with the exception of dark matter and dark energy. There's nothing left. 0 point energy, debunked. Like the vacuum of space energy, inherent energy, virtual particles, useless. Perpetual motion, useless. White holes, don't exist, probably. Powering things off of black holes, bad idea, also wouldn't work. Like there's no more particles. There's nothing left to discover. We know what every element is. We know what every molecule is. We know what every subatomic particle does, what every sub-subatomic particle does to an extent. And I don't think we're going to be powering our cars off of quarks anytime soon, because their bonded energy is stronger than that of atomic nuclei, so we would just use something else. Like, just take my word for it. Okay, we're going to leave the science behind before I lose y'all. There is nothing left to invent. We've got antimatter and fusion. Those are the two things, the end. I guess I would throw in microwaves from space, where you grab the solar in space because there's no clouds in space and you beam it down with microwaves. Sometimes it misses, and also you literally just built a directed energy weapon. So those are two kind of big issues. That would be just handing everybody on Earth, every government, everything, a super nuke, where you could just, oops, I just tilted my satellite the wrong way. I just burned an entire city. Sorry, my bad. Plausible deniability. Somebody must have bumped it. Yeah, microwaves, bad idea. Solar into microwaves, terrible, terrible idea. Would kind of work. We also, to launch stuff into space, you want to talk about energy? Like, solar panels don't work on the ground. You want to launch them into space and then maintain them in space? Everybody who knows anything says you'd have to get a space elevator for that. So, for those various reasons, we are going to run out of energy at some point. Or we're going to very quickly have a breakthrough with antimatter-matter mixing, so antimatter generation, containment, and use, which, no. I'm not even going to get into that. No, that is not going to happen. Too hard. You have to hold it in a container that isn't made out of anything. Like, it just, no. Or we have a breakthrough in fusion, which, don't hold your breath. But if we had fusion, you just go to the ocean and get energy. What do we have the most of on this planet? Water. So heavy hydrogen, tritium. Let's jump into that. Post-scarcity would require fusion. What if we invent fusion? And then after that, I'll tell you what's going to happen, because we're not going to do that. So you take seawater, you spin it around in an electric-powered, centrifuge. You get your heavy water, which is tritium, which is hydrogen with, I believe, 2 neutrons. You shove that in your fusion reactor. You fuse it into, oxygen, nitrogen, something, who cares? And it spits out 100 times more energy than it took you to go get the seawater and sort it. And the vehicles that deliver it are electric. And the workers' houses are electric, and their heating and cooling is electric. And the lights are electric. You have unlimited free energy. Congratulations. The energy goes to get more energy, and now you just need human time and effort, which you could probably automate with robots anyway. Post-scarcity. If every delivery truck, if everything that ever moves anywhere, from the mine to the forge to the shaping place to overseas and back, every boat, every plane, every truck didn't have to run on gasoline. It just ran on basically free nothing. If you could drive across the country, it costs you 5 cents worth of electricity, or it's just free. It's just government free, whatever, because who cares? We have unlimited energy. We have 10 times the nuclear reactors we need. We solved fusion. We got magnetic containment down, and now everybody's running on fusion. Then guess what? Most of the world's problems go away. But the joke within the scientific community, and it's less of a joke and more of a reality, is fusion power is always 50 years away, especially 50 years ago, and especially now. And the funny thing is, if you look up when it's estimated that we'll have a fully functional, deployable, repeatable fusion reactor, it's like 2040 something. And that is at the very earliest. And remember, that's an optimistic projection that's supposed to look really good and attractive to governments to get grants so that they can keep working on it. So in other words, double it. So in other words, 50 years. So we're 50 years out from post-scarcity energy fusion. Great. I'm sure we won't be out of oil by then. The society is going to collapse at some point because everything runs on oil right now, natural gas and hydrocarbons and petrochemicals. Whether you think that is the sole or no contributor to climate change or anywhere in between, it doesn't matter, because when we run out, we have no energy. We can't drive anywhere or go anywhere. So whether the earth is on fire because of global warming, or that's complete and utter BS, or anywhere in between, it doesn't matter, because we won't be able to go anywhere or do anything. We won't be able to make plastics. We won't be able to make anything we make right now. And there's not unlimited supplies of this stuff. Now, if we had nuclear fusion, we can just grow a thing, have a thing eat it, and take that thing and compress it really hard into oil. Not much of a drastic oversimplification. It actually is about that simple. They had a working prototype of this back in 2001. Grow the wheat with sun power, really, but you could put grow lights out. You could do it underground. You could do it in a bunker. You could do it in a multi-story solid concrete skyscraper if you had unlimited energy. And then you get chickens to eat the seeds and the wheat or whatever, and then they turn chickens into crude oil. Like that they did that. That was a thing. And then they found out it was cheaper to get it out of the ground, and that patent went nowhere, and now it's probably public domain. because it cost twice as much, but it was proof of concept. So you can turn chickens into plastic. You can turn light into plants, into chicken, into oil, into plastic, if you have enough energy to not give a crap about how inefficient that is. And if the skyscraper to hold the lights and the concrete to build the skyscraper all showed up with free electric power, and like the metal to build the lights was all forged with free unlimited power, you see where I'm going with this. If we don't have to care about energy anymore, the entire Earth converts to post-scarcity. Anything short of that, we are screwed eventually. Even if the population leveled off right now at the whatever it is, 8 billion, trillion, how many we got? Whatever. Not important. We still don't have enough to go around. And the population is leveling off. So all the lefties saying, oh, we need to it would be great if half the people on Earth just dropped dead right now. No, because all the economies would tank. The real estate would tank because the demand for houses would go away. Businesses wouldn't have enough people to operate and they would fail. And then, they lose half their customers while losing half their staff, so they would fail 4 times faster. No, population reduction wouldn't work. If population just absolutely leveled off like it naturally does, when people don't feel the need to have 10 kids because 6 of them are going to die before they're 18, like it was in the 1700s, or you didn't need them to support you and work on the farm and live, or you just kept accidentally having kids because you're married and who cares, and that's just what everybody did. Look, we ain't going to hit 50 billion. That's not even realistic, okay? So the more developed the world is, the more we have less kids. That's just every country. I can't even think of an exception. The birth rates, look at Italy, look at US, look at China, look at everywhere, look at Japan. There's somewhere between leveling off and going down. It still doesn't matter because the amount of stuff we're taking out of the earth isn't sustainable, and we don't have the ability to just eliminate energy from our lives completely. We could start right now deploying nothing but solar and wind, which is inefficient, stupid, and doesn't work. It's not powerful enough, but let's just say all nuclear. And by the time we're finished, society would have ended. So I hate to break it to you, but we're going to get 50 Hurricane Helenes just societally probably within the next 20 years because it is at this point unavoidable. And when you say, well, the worse things get, the better it comes out of people because people get together. No, not when they think nobody's coming. There is such a difference when you think everything's fine, you think you're secure, you're good, and you've got enough time and volunteer hours and whatever to go down and help people. And people, you got all these great stories about everybody helping people and a couple bad apples, but really just, wow, aren't humans great? And the answer is yes, when they think it's okay. If there is a light at the end of the tunnel and I've got mine, I'm secure. I got my food, I got my money, I got my water. Then I'm going to go help people. Until that's true, everybody is going to lose their minds. They're going to be like, no, I got to protect me first. Why would I, outside of myself personally and my family, my loved ones, longtime friends, really close associations and all that, why would I help anybody else if I didn't get my stuff, my affairs in order? And am I here to preach to you that you shouldn't be thinking differently? No, that's logic. That's survival. That's how you should do things. That is the cascading order of how you should care about people and help them out. It just is. It's the reality. That's how we're built. That's how we're wired. Okay. Long-time relationships, you're going to help those people out first. And even that's not true if you yourself personally is about to starve. Now, a lot of people selflessly are like, no, I care about my family more than myself. And if they died, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. It's that strong of a bond. But, I've known my neighbor for 40 years and, war broke out in Syria and now, he does look like he's starving, but I have 2 kids and a wife, so hope it works out for him. I'm just going to avoid him. That is how it goes as soon as the resources dry up. I could give you 1,000 other examples. And on top of it, look at what the worst of the worst people do. These are moral people who are just like, look, I'm gonna handle myself. I'm gonna keep to myself. And as soon as I have the resources and everything's gonna be cool, and we know things are kind of settled down, chill, and I see some resources right in front of my face, then I'll go help distribute them. Then I'll go be a decent person. Then I'll go help my community. But what about lifetime criminals, immoral people raised in one-parent families or just defective personalities or just terrible people? They'll selfishly take. All they care about is their ego, their safety, and getting what they want and feeling good for the next day. Okay, whether that be drugs or how they act, how they treat other people, or activities that they're into, they don't care because that's how they live their life. There's nothing else in it. They weren't trained to be better people. What they do is they form gangs and they go, just take. They're just like, well, we're all like-minded, horrible people. We're the strong ones, however they want to justify it, Like, let's say there's just a straight-up prison break after an earthquake. Well, that whole group of people is just going to go around taking whatever they want because that's how they live their lives and that's their moral compass. Watch out for people like that. Every war zone, every collapse, every time, every country, through all of human history, it has been like that. The criminals, the aggressive people, the bad people, they're the ones who are like, yeah, I'm just going to go shoot this person and take what's in their house instead of try to negotiate and do this and do that. Let's be fair about it. And there were looters, there were bad people, there were mentally deranged people, there were all kinds of people through Hurricane Helene. I didn't want to get into like the real dark stuff, but there were some bad stories too, from bad people doing bad things because they're opportunistic. And the police were on the lookout for them. Local police, whether they had radios or electricity or not, they're just like, this is my job, and what am I going to do? Not that. I hate criminals. That's why I'm a cop. And so they go stop looters. They go arrest people. They go find the drug addicts breaking into the pharmacies and stuff. They were fine to the people saying, hey, I'm not going to help my neighbors, my community. I want to financially benefit from this because look at all the unlocked stuff and all the stuff I could sell later. I mean, those are harmless enough unless it's your business and hopefully it's all insured. But like I said, everything multiply it by 100. When you think, wow, the country's not getting better from this, the world is not recovering from this, this is the collapse, whether it be fast, slow, or somewhere in between. Like I said, a full-blown earthquake in California. Just think about that. The next 10 years are not going to be pleasant. There is going to be $50 loaves of bread. There is not going to be enough to go around. And a lot of people will be in denial, but a lot of people are like you guys would know realistically what is really going to happen. So Hurricane Helene, you might see all these wonderful stories and, oh, well, how about this thing I didn't think of? And what about this? And let's be prepared for that. But just let's get past a single individual weather event. I want you guys to be cool and live through that and be set. And that's why I started the video off all positive. But when I see Hurricane Helene, the only thing I see from my analysis of like future projections and what is inevitably coming, you haven't seen anything yet. And don't count on anybody to act like this. Get your ducks in a row, get your group, get your people you trust, get the communication lines open, get the emergency plans, get the places you're going to meet up, get the monstrous amount of food and resources that you're going to need, and then proceed to live your life, not in fear, not in like, oh, it's all, I wake up every day just thinking, when is this all going to fall apart? And oh, I'm just so mad about it. I live my life just depressed and with horrible anxiety because just look around. No, that is not the right prepper mindset. Not at all. Be ready, be prepared, get your ducks in a row, and then live your life. Because let's say you're sitting out in some tent out in the middle of nowhere when 90% of the world's population died and you're still alive and you're like, you know what I wish I would have done is not spent so much time worrying about this coming and live my dang life. Go on a trip, travel, do this, do that, see this thing, go do that thing, go whatever. Once your ducks are in a row, live your life. I can't stress that enough, but be aware that, you might think, well, wow, there was the year without a summer. Look that up. There was the Irish potato famine. Look that one up. World War I, World War II, the Black Plague. Was it 2/3 of Europe dead? 2/3. We bounce back, we bounce back, we bounce back. Look where we are now. Look at anything that's ever happened in all of history. We bounce back. So you might be like, no matter what happens, we will bounce back. The right people will make it right. We'll all work together as a community. That is not true. It worked in the past. Things are different now. There's too many people. It's too complicated. And once people get it in their minds that their comfy life and their resources that just show up to the store and they don't know where it comes from, when that gets cut off, it's on, okay? I'm not sharing anything with you. You're not sharing anything with me. And if you get too close, watch out, okay? That is how things are going to be the next time there's a large-scale event. We just don't know when it is. But you might say, well, a hurricane is a large-scale event. Look at the numbers. Look at the damage. Look at this. Look at that. If there's a big enough earthquake, a big enough meteorite impact, a big enough pandemic, a big enough war, a big enough anything, there's no coming back from it. That's just not how society works anymore. We're too connected. We're too fragile. The supply lines are too garbage. We are headed for that unless we can get unlimited magic energy from space, microwaves, solar. I don't care what they work out. Pretty much it would have to be nuclear, let's be honest. But until we hit post-scarcity energy, that's the future. Hate to break it to you. Now, will it be within your lifetime? It could be 50 years from now. I can give you some numbers on when oil's going to run out and we can't do plastics or energy anymore. Or I could give you the ones from 20 years ago that have already been proven wrong because there's more oil we didn't know about, and the alarmist, environmentalist moron liars were just spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt to try and control you and get you to do what they want and vote for Democrats. But it was all BS. I don't have a time scale. I don't have a number. I don't know what they're going to invent. We might work out antimatter matter production collisions. We actually have already isolated antimatter. You want to talk about not giving a crap about energy? Right now, it takes more energy to make antimatter than it does to have it collide with matter and then capture the energy. But if that stopped being true, whoo-hoo. But, you look at 2020 and then fast forward 4 years and add AI, I don't think we're going in a positive direction. Look around. Does this look positive to you? Nah. If I was 65, I wouldn't worry about it. I'm in my 30s. I'm worried about it. Like, do I realistically think that the Earth has 50 more years? I guess could be my lifetime. No, I don't think we do. In fact, not only do I know it's not true based on just everything out right now and how disasters were handled 10 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, and just look now and then just simulate any of those now, that would be the end of society everywhere, globally. But also, and I'm going to make a follow-up video to this, it's a different topic, I have it on good authority that I know how all this ends. The reason I became a prepper is because I got every possible available piece of information and I put it together. This is a reliable source. This isn't. This is proven false. This isn't. I know how the world is going to end most likely, or bare minimum, I know what it will be like, even if I don't know the cause. Because of, there's only one direction things are going. That's why I covered in this video, but there's also other sources and other things that I need to explain. And I think the next video will be very enlightening. So a lot of you like the long format stuff, like the podcasty kind of stuff. So I thought, yeah, let's do this. Not some stupid bullet point thing, like some little 1 minute on each topic, whatever listicle, vapid nonsense. And yeah, this wasn't a 1 hour documentary once again. That's just information dense like a black hole on like how to pack your own food in Mylar. This is more just like opinion, interesting, makes you think, but a lot of you guys are into that stuff. A lot of people work in security. We got a lot of truckers out there. We got just a lot of people at the gym watching this. Hopefully you're not like crying on the side of the treadmill after listening to this whole thing. But I want to make videos like this once in a while just because it's a little less like, you just kind of listen in the background while getting some good information without having to just like concentrate, take notes, and this is EST's usual like hyper produced whatever. I wanted to just make like I got a loose outline and let's make a video on this. Let's just talk to you guys kind of stuff. So if you appreciate that, you made it all the way to the end of the video, obviously subscribe. You were clearly in the right location. But also, leave a like and maybe check out some other stuff on my channel. So with that, a lot to think about. Watch for my next video. It's going to be very, very, very enlightening. And stop living your life foolishly and stop buying dumb stuff you don't need until all your ducks are in a row. I should end every video like that, but thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time.